As of right now, this is the widest full frame lens available on the market today. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Kris Luckenbach. I'm a photographer and videographer here in Kodiak, Alaska. And in this video, we'll be taking a look at the Laowa 10mm f2.8 prime lens. It's for the full frame camera. I got it set up for the Canon R5 Mark II, and it's also available in other mounts such as Nikon and Sony. Now the Nikon and Sony are autofocus. The Canon RF is manual focus only. So what makes this unique is it's the widest rectilinear lens on the market that's wide. Canon has a 10-220mm, but it's not a prime, and it's f4. This is a prime f2.8. If you did some research on this lens before by chance, you'll notice there's two variants of it. There's a 14 blade and a 5 blade. I don't know what the 5 blade would look like. This is the 14 blade. I believe the 14 blade should look better for astrophotography. It should add that nice sharpness to the stars, and that's really why I got this lens for astrophotography and mainly northern lights photography. Alright, so taking a look at the lens itself, it's all done manually, changing the aperture, changing the focus, and it does have a really nice feel to it. It feels nice and tight. Changing the aperture feels very clicky and strong. It doesn't actually click, but it just feels like it kind of snaps to where it needs to be. So that is a nice feature, and I like that the focus ring is tight, and even if you bump it, it's probably not going to change too much. Notice with this lens, when you take the lens cap off, that is a lot smaller than I anticipated the front glass to look like. It's pretty tiny. A regular lens cap goes over it, and I do think it's actually really nice. It locks on pretty nice and tight. If it falls, it's not going to hit the bulb. I mean, it could if like something's really sharp and you hit a rock or something, but overall it's kind of protected with the built-in lens hood. And I think that I was a little disappointed when I saw how small the front glass was, but it actually turns out to be pretty nice. If you get the Canon RF version, there is one small catch that you should be aware of. Now, what that is you'll notice this is not a Canon lens, and it's the RF mount. Let me just swap this over really quick. You likely have a setting turned off, and it won't recognize the lens, and you won't be able to take a photo. You'll think to yourself, I just wasted my money. But let me show you how to fix that right now. Fix this, you're gonna go over to settings. You're gonna go to the orange tab on the 4th tab of the orange section. You're gonna look for release shutter without lens, and you're gonna enable that. And now you'll be able to take photos with this camera. The camera doesn't recognize the lens on there, but it works. And it works really good. I'm really impressed with the photos that I've taken so far. Just because this lens is nice and small and compact, and it feels really good in my hands, don't expect this to be a vlogging lens, not just because it is manual focus for this Canon mount, but also it has no image stabilization built onto the lens, so everything is going to be really shaky. The only way you'll get videos is with it being on a tripod, getting some static shots, but you also get those time lapses, and I just love the time lapses, and it's one of my favorite things to do. Their northern lights just make them look a little better. And I keep talking about the northern lights, and well, that's really the reason I bought this lens. I don't plan on doing any real estate with it. It's a bit wide. I don't really plan on doing many landscapes with it, but I do have a couple photos that I really do enjoy with the lens that were just regular landscape photos. Speaking of photos, let's take a quick look and see how it performs in Lightroom. In the corners, there's some distortion in the stars, like elongation and coma in the corners. However, it's still fairly sharp from edge to edge. There's one thing I didn't say yet. This is an $800 lens, so I believe for the price and the quality that you get, I think it's definitely a great value. I think it's worth it to get that new field of view for Northern Lights photography that's really not been done before, that's you know, on a rectilinear lens. We've had wide pictures, but they were with a fisheye, and that just causes so much distortion. I'm not a fan of fisheye photos, and I really like how this 10mm rectilinear looks. Not only is this 10mm really unique, there's only one other lens that comes close to this, the Canon RF 10mm to 20mm f4. So that's a zoom lens, which is not bad. It's f4, so f2.8 is a little bit better, especially for astrophotography. And what you're gonna get with the Canon version is autofocus and image stabilization. They're not the best, but it is something to have, and this $800 lens doesn't. That Canon version is $2,400, so it's pretty expensive. In fact, I was actually going to buy the Canon 10 to 20mm, but there was an issue. It was on back order forever. So I bought this lens, and whoop-de-doo, the next day the 10 to 20 version was available. I don't know why things always work out like that, but I'm actually really happy with my purchase. If you want to see what the Canon RF 10 to 20mm looks like compared to this regular 10mm f2.8, I have a full video on the Canon RF 10 to 20 right up here. And in the link of the description, you can find some photos of the 10mm Laowa f2.8 and also some photos of the 10mm Canon RF version. Alright, well that's all I have in this video. I hope this video inspires you to capture the world from a new angle, and that angle is wide.